So I've told you in previous videos that code enforcement has been harassing me about on a weekly basis. Well, I got some news for you. So of course I'm going to talk about that in a bit. So a few days ago I made a video where I was telling you about my water process system, I guess is a better word, system. As you know, I have a very old well that I've done my best to refurbish. The well is probably dug no later than 1974. And I've told you many times, but I got to recap because if I get a new viewer, they're going to want to know something or they're going to tell me how to do something. I need to make sure that everybody understands what I've done. When I got here, there was just a 6-inch hole in the ground with a piece of concrete, kind of like that concrete block there, covering the hole. That was it. We've done a lot of work since then. Initially, we just put a pump down in it. Well, it was a 30-gallon deep well pump, and the water was just filthy dirty. We shocked the well by putting bleach in the well, and I kind of put plastic bags and different things over this to kind of keep the dirt out of it until I could do something more. Then we built a tiny house. After the tiny house was built, I came back to this project, and I poured, well, I guess the first thing I did was I put a well packer down in the well. A well packer is it's hard to explain what it is. I've got videos on it. If you go to my playlist, you can see well, you'll see what a well packer is. But it's a PVC pipe, a 4-inch PVC pipe, just like that has rings, rubber rings around it. And so you shove this 4-inch pipe down into the hole, and the rubber rings seal up against the well casing. The well casing was cracked. So now that well packer holds back all that water that has fallen on top of it from the well casing. And then you put a well liner in it, so now you just put PVC pipes down, 4-inch PVC pipes. I had to get a smaller pump. I had to get a 15-gallon a minute pump. It was 2 inches in diameter, I think. And we were able to use our solar panels to do that. Now, I've talked about that extensively, running the well pump off the solar panels. And then, so I built this building, poured 6 inches of concrete, built this building, put a roof on it that extends 2 feet even further, so the end of the roof is 4 feet from the hole, and that is to specifications. Other than this is not a concrete building, it is identical to all the other wells around here. But I've always gotten dirty water to run down into the well on big rain events. And it rains a lot around here, just these flooding rains. As a matter of fact, right now we're under a flash flood warning and a flood warning. Well, we live on top of this mountain here. We're 1,000 feet above sea level. As a matter of fact, when we can our foods, we have to consider that into our canning process because we got to put extra weight on our canner, the little jiggler, so we have enough pressure. Up here at the top of the hill is ditches. There's ditches, and then over the wintertime, those leaves collect in those ditches, and the ditches, and then so my culvert clogs up with leaves. So that water rushes down here and clogs up my well. Well, I've been working on that. I raked all the leaves out, and I've gotten that problem solved. So each winter, I'll just go up there and I'll rake the leaves out. And I can do it over the entire winter. I can do, 10 feet at a time for the next 10 days or however long it takes me, I don't know. I also have what's called a French drain. Now, I know I just talked about this, but a French drain is a ditch that you put pipe in. I put 4-inch PVC pipe in it with holes in it. And so then you fill the ditch in with rocks on top of that pipe. So the water falls down, gets into that pipe and rushes down to right here where I am sitting. Well, the problem with my French drain is that it's so close to the well house that the ground in between the French drain and the well house gets saturated because the water takes a long time to run off. I guess I just don't have it on a steep enough angle. So my failure is, I think the French drain is too close to the building. Even on flooding days that the ditch is working correctly, water is rushing down here. Saturates this spot. Anytime this spot right here gets moist, I know for a fact that we've had a leak in the well. It's going to leak. But you can see here, we've had tons of rain in the last few days and this morning, and that's still dry. So what I did, and I just showed you this in a previous video, is I dug this little trench further away. It's probably another 2 feet away from the French drain. But I didn't go too deep. And the reason I didn't go too deep is I didn't want the ground saturating again. I just wanted it to run off. The last, I don't know, week, it has flooded rained every day for a bit, some period of time, whether it's 10 minutes or an hour. Today, it flooded rained for 2 hours straight. I had a barrel. There was this much water. I bet 4 inches of water, 3 or 4 inches of water in that barrel. It was a lot of rain. So I sat at the window this morning, right behind me, and I watched this ditch. Now, since the last time I spoke to you about this ditch, I made the ditch even longer, because the day before yesterday, I noticed that the water was kind of coming back around in front of the well here. I kind of cut it off right here. So it was kind of coming down here, right into this area right here. Now there's a ditch here also that pulls all that water away. So when the roof collects water, this is my gutter here, the gutter takes that water, drips it off into that ditch. Well, all this water was rushing right down here. It wasn't getting in the well area, but it concerned me. So I just went ahead and dug it a little bit longer so it gets completely away from the well. I watched it this morning, and sure enough, this ditch just filled up with water. Now I took all the extra dirt that I took out of this ditch and I threw it on the back side of the ditch here, so that's elevated even higher. Well, in the middle of the rain, after about an hour, we got another warning that we were getting flooding rains and don't go anywhere. Problem with this area is there's a lot of, well, we're in a mountainous area, so there's a lot of big hills. And so when you go down one of these big hills, even down here, for example, the creeks will overflow and go over the roadway. The creek that we have in our back woods here, it's a dry creek except when it rains, and so that floods up, goes down there, and can wash over the road. All these roads back here do this. So it was a lot of water, but this little ditch kept up with it. But I was certain today, since we got so many warnings in the last few days, that the well was going to be dirty today. I just couldn't imagine, after all the troubles I've had for the last 3 years, that this would be clean. So I filled the tank up today, and all I do there is I run this RV hose into our IBC tank, which is in this box. I just showed you this. I'll put an up next box at the end of this video that shows you how I fill this tank. So I filled the tank up today, and the water was spotless. After all this time of struggling with this, the thing is Carolyn is a real water miserly. She conserves water. She is sometimes hard to deal with when it comes to water. And the reason is, and I don't blame her for this at all, she had a piece of property, 8 acres, a long time ago. They moved a trailer on there, but they never had a well. They didn't have a well for the longest time because it was going to cost a lot of money to dig a well. So they would have to go out to the state park or just neighbor's house or wherever and get barrels of water. So she's always trying to figure out how to conserve water, reuse water. For example, all the water that we use, she uses for the laundry, we use to flush the toilet. Carolyn has showed me how to save water, and it's almost an obsession now between her and I. But we would not have been able to be nomads if she hadn't showed me how to save water. She's really good at it. We'd only get 40 gallons of water for 2 weeks, and we'd have to make that last. Well, now, you know, we may use maybe 20 gallons a day, 25 gallons a day. I figured it up. I made a video about that a while back. So filling it up today, and it was spotless. So I told Carolyn today, do you think I'm speaking too early by saying I think I fixed my problem? It's been such a struggle, but I never gave up on it. The problem with the well is I would have to flush it out. 3 days after dirty water got into it, I would have to take the pump, open it all the way up, let the water pump out the well, because it's a 15 gallon a minute pump, but the well only has a recovery rate of 5 gallons a minute. So you pump it out and you have to do that 3 times. Well, you're wasting probably, I don't know, 50, 60, 80 gallons of water every time you do that. And you got to do it 3 times. Well, with this amount of rain we've had, if we were still getting dirty water, well, first, I'm not even sure that it would have been a long enough span in between rains to actually flush it out, because you got to wait 3 days for all that water that saturated the ground to drip down. Otherwise, you flush it out and it just gets dirty again. But Carolyn never liked that. She hated that we were wasting that water. And we talked about getting an IBC tank and using it for the chickens, you know, that dirty water for the chickens or whatever. And when you get rains like this where it's just every day, we would have filled up that IBC tank in no time. So it was always stressful to me when the water got dirty. So now we've got this resolved, at least for these rains. I don't think we're going to get any stronger rains than what we've gotten. Now, I am concerned that you get these rains that last for a week, every day, all day, for 7 days. That might get the ground saturated enough that it just seeps down anyways. Kind of tell you what's going on here. I have made several videos in the last couple months about this guy who claims to be a retired code inspector. And he would message me every other day or so, telling me that I have to close up this well. He wanted me to pour concrete down in it, close it up, never use it again, and drill a new well, because this one wasn't up to code. And since I've admitted that groundwater is getting into the well, that I'm contaminating everybody else's well, contaminating the bedrock water, whatever you call that, groundwater. Well, I just couldn't see that being true, that I was doing something illegal. The well had been here for 40 years, just sitting here, not doing anything. 45 years, whatever it was, maybe longer, with all that dirt and stuff going down in it, and nobody said a word then. So now that I'm working on it, reducing the amount of dirt that's going down into it, and flushing it out after it gets dirty, now it's a bad well. So it just didn't make sense to me. And I read all the code requirements several times after this guy messaged me, because he told me he was going to have me turned in, or turn me in to my code enforcement. And I'm to specification on every aspect. When we first moved here, the code enforcement guy came out and he saw me building the tiny house, and he saw the well, and he saw everything, and he never said a word about it. The other day I made a video and I told you that the retired code enforcement guy, whoever he is, contacted our code enforcement, the county commissioner or whatever you call him, and told him that my well was illegal and he wanted to report it. Well, my commissioner wrote me a letter. He didn't know my phone number and didn't want to come out and bother me, and asked me to call him. So I called him, and he wanted to know what was going on, what's wrong with my well. And I said, there's nothing wrong with it. And I told him everything that I just told you. I redid it, but it still gets a little dirty water in it every now and then when we get these flooding rains. And he didn't really understand why I was being reported. Well, of course, he knows I'm on YouTube. He says, do you think this is a YouTube guy? I said, well, yeah, I'm sure it is, that's reporting me, somebody off YouTube. So he said he was going to address it somehow or another with this guy. He called me, the code guy, the code enforcement, my code enforcement guy called me. I gave him my phone number the last time we talked, because he wanted to stay in touch with me in case somebody reported me again. So he called me and he said, the guy reported me again. And he was furious this time, cussed my code inspector out and told him that, you know, he's no good piece of whatever, he doesn't know what he's doing. And he wanted to talk to his boss. Well, he said, I am the boss. I'm the guy who runs this place. He said he was going to press charges and all kinds of stuff. So ended up, the code enforcement guy, my code enforcement guy, wrote him a violation, a ticket. He fined him money for wasting public resource money. He reported me making an investigation. Now, the investigation was a phone call. I don't know how much this fine was worth, but apparently the guy who did the reporting has to pay for the cost incurred by my county government for this false reporting. So again, he asked me to make this video. My code enforcement guy asked me to make this video. My sheriff does that too, just to let people know that I'm on the up and up. And when you call and harass my government officials, they're going to take action against you. I know the code enforcement guy likes watching my videos. As a matter of fact, he watched the video of that little ditch I made. He said, well, it seems like you got your problem resolved. It does appear that I have. He said, that's quite the simple solution. Long story, he stopped watching my videos for a while and now he's back to watching them. You know, like I said, he stopped watching my videos, so it's not like it's being biased. I'm just not breaking the law. But these guys really want to shut me down. These trolls, these haters, they're just trying so hard to get me shut down. I just made a video a couple of days ago about a hater who got in trouble with the sheriff for doxing me, giving out my location. They got to stop this. They don't seem to think that they're breaking any laws by doing this, but they are. You cannot harass people in this country. It costs everybody money. You got to stop. So if you click this up next box, take you to a video where I was talking about me digging that ditch, and I showed you the whole process. So if I can inspire you to get through the complications so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.